Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am working on my November updates for my book bullet journal here. This is my Archer and Olive journal. I have used this all throughout 2022 and it has been such a fun way to record my reading life beyond just using my Goodreads and Storygraph apps. So every month I use my little Canon selfie printer. That's what you see on the right there, and the app that they give you when you buy this printer, which is super convenient. And I print out the photo of the book stack of all the things that I read that month. That's one of my favorite little hacks for encouraging myself to read more is I physically stack up the books that I read throughout the month just on top of my bookshelf, and I take a picture of it at the end of the month, and it is just a really helpful, motivating way for me to read more. So here's the noisy sound of my printer. I won't try to talk over that. Okay, so now that we've got my print of the stack of books I read this month, which was actually super interesting to me. So I normally read quite a few books every month, usually in the like 10 to 15, maybe more range. But in November, I actually only read 5 books. Granted, 2 of them were pretty big. I tandem read 2 books in the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas, but it was still a pretty low reading month for me. I was going through a lot in my personal life, and it just was not a month where I read a lot. I found it interesting. I looked back through all of my monthly stacks of book photos, which again, I love taking them for that reason, and found that there's actually only been one other month since I've started tracking my reading this way that I've read just 5 books in a month, and it was in February of like 2018. So I just think that's a really interesting data point that I have because I take photos like this and record things this way, and it's just one of my favorite things about journaling and taking pictures and having bookstagram and book talk and all the things is that I have all this information and fun little facts like that. So I paste this picture in with a little hand lettered like part of the month. I don't know where my words are, but I usually add some washi tape. I have a couple rolls of washi tape that I have used just throughout this journal, and I have found that that's been a really fun way to keep things looking cohesive. I often add little botanical stickers as well. I kind of set a vibe and a mood for what this journal will look like at the beginning of the year and have stuck with that throughout this year. So the sticker kind of folded in on itself, which was annoying. I tried to fix it, but fake nails and a sticky sticker were just not working together. So, oh well, that's that. This page, like I said, is at the start of the month, and then I will add all the little book covers after that. So I also do this through my Canon selfie. I have saved the book cover images to my phone, and the way that I do this is really simple. I get so many questions about this, but I go to Google Images, type the name of the book, and save that photo to my photos. So simple, so easy. Sometimes you have to make sure you get a high-res image if you're trying to print it pretty large, but like for these, they're about 1 inch by 1.5 inches, so really tiny, and it always works totally fine. So I save those all to my camera or my camera roll on my phone and go into the Canon Selfie app where I will select them all. I use the N up feature or way of arranging them. You see here I didn't have a book title. I've forgotten to go get that one, so I'm just typing it into Google, go to the Images tab, and find that book. I get the cover that I want, hold on to it to save to photos, and there it is. I add it to my little Canon Selfie app. The only annoying thing about this app is that I want all of these to show the whole book cover. So I have to select them individually and click fit instead of fill to that frame. There's no way to do that in batches for some reason. I don't know why you can't select all. So because I didn't read that many books this month, and then I realized here that I've already printed some of these book covers actually. I don't want to waste a sheet of this paper, so I found some other things to print and thought of other books that I know I'm going to want to read this month, or other pictures that I would want to use in either this journal or my other journals, just so I'm not wasting, like I said, a sheet of this photo paper. It's not terribly expensive actually, but it's also not like dirt cheap. So if I print something, I want to use every inch of that paper, and I think I'm trying to find if I printed any other ones of these already. I don't know what I'm doing here. So yeah, sometimes I probably had done that this with these covers the last time, is had to print them in advance so that I wouldn't waste any space. So now I'm just trying to go get some other book cover images of things that I'm currently reading for December, just to be ready for that. I have been listening to a lot more audiobooks recently. I would love to hear your audiobook recommendations in the comments if y'all have any. I never used to listen to audiobooks, like was adamantly against them. Not against them as like a concept, just was not into them for myself, and really thought that they didn't work for me, that I couldn't pay attention well or listen well. And somehow I have turned a corner, and audiobooks and I get along great now. So it's a whole new stage in my life, and I'm really enjoying them. Okay, let's see. This one, Nature of the Beast, we started listening to, my parents and I listened on the way down to Georgia for Thanksgiving, but I fell asleep in the car, so I lost track of where we were in the story. I will definitely need to catch up. I also have the physical book, and I often will switch between physical books and audiobooks, especially because, like you saw with that book stack photo, I love to have the physical book stacked up, and if I can, I'll use the actual book to be in the book stack, and if I don't have a copy, I will use a different book and just flip it backwards so that the pages show out instead of the spine, and find that will still kind of help my brain see that I visually read that book, even if it was on audio. So that's another little trick for the book stack idea as well. I'm really hoping to finish the Throne of Glass series this month or this year. Ooh, that was a big sniffle. But I really want to finish Throne of Glass so that I can move on to other series and not kind of have this lingering, all the lingering plots and characters in my brain. All right, Rachel, you can do this. Find some more things to print. I really could speed this part up. It's not terribly exciting. Let me know if you all like this kind of journal with me concept. I am finding YouTube really fascinating because I'm so used to having to crop things to fit in like 30 minutes for TikTok or 90 seconds for an Instagram reel, that to allow myself to take time to let a video like be the full length that it is, and let there be space and time. It feels like luxurious, and also I'm constantly feeling like I'm wasting your time, or that something is not interesting enough to hold attention. So I'm really curious to hear how you all are liking these types of videos. If it's too slow, if you'd rather see something like this sped up, how fast you'd want it sped up. I don't know if it, like, what you're interested in. I would love to hear. And I haven't been watching that many other content creators because I wanted to figure out what works for me. So very curious to hear your comments. All right, let's get this printed, and then I will share more about what I'm doing on the flip side. Excuse me. All right, so every book gets cut out, and then I use these cute little star stickers. These are from Alicia Marksit on Etsy. I have talked about her shop before, and I will link it in the description. I love her shop. She has great stickers for book bullet journaling or just journaling in general, but a lot of her stickers are also reading themed. So I cut all of these out. Again, these are about 1 inch by 1.5 inches, which I designed my journal with that sizing in mind. So it's worked out really well for me. You could also, if you don't have a Canon selfie printer, I know my friend Allie at Booksta and Bujo on Instagram talks about how she gets these printed through Shutterfly, and Shutterfly's app often does free prints, so that's a great option. Or you could print through like CVS or Walgreens or whatever. I truly have loved having a photo printer at home because I can do this super quick. Like I just did that on demand, and it's worked really well for me. I used to do this prints through CVS or Walgreens, and I hated having to do things in batches and then go pick them up, and it just didn't really work for me when I wanted to journal. I found this to be much easier. I use these glue runners a lot. Double stick tape would also work. I found that those do better than like an Elmer's glue, especially for the photo paper. And then those 5 super tip Crayola markers that you see that I'm using, I have committed to those being representative of my different star ratings for the year. And I use that throughout this entire journal. Each of those colors represents 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 stars. And I will always just color in those star stickers based on what rating I gave the book. It's going to be interesting to see if I switch up my colors for next year. Those colors have become so like connected to the star ratings in my brain. It'll be really funny to try to switch to new colors, but I'm kind of ready for a new vibe also. Ooh, we have a 5-star. The Throne of Glass books were definitely 5-star favorites for me. Big fan of those for sure. All right, we have one more. I also used to try to record my reviews in my journal, and I stopped doing that as much because it was just too much to keep up with, and I found that trying to write my reviews on Instagram, and then I was putting them on my blog, and then putting them on Goodreads, and then putting them on Storygraph, and then putting them in my journal. It was just too many places to write the same content. So I've kind of just stuck to having the book and the star rating. You can hear my ice maker in the background. Has worked better for me. So I will likely design my journal for next year with probably even less space, because I don't really write much for each book. And yeah, I could probably fit like 3 columns of books as opposed to just trying to do 2. But it was a good thing to test this year. Last year I had too much space. This year I had a little bit less space. And next year I probably don't need any. Now I know. It's really fun to play and learn as these things evolve. So, because I only read 5 books this month, this is about the end of what I'll do for these monthly pages. And then I really will just go back to all of the opening pages throughout this journal and update kind of my stats pages, my challenges, and etc. But my camera battery died, so you won't get to see all of that in this video. But I would love to hear what you think of this kind of journal with me content. If you'd like me to talk through it every time, or shut up and just let you watch. If you want me to speed it up in the future, or just what you think in general. I'd love to hear your feedback. So definitely leave a comment and like and subscribe. And thanks so much for being here. I'll see y'all next time.